Everybody wakes up and says,
Yeah, let me go build something.
I want to create shareholder value. And too often when it comes to communication, it's not happening because we go in to answer instead of going in to listen and think. The COVID period was this big experiment that you don't see come.
3 years later, we disregarded all the things that we learned.
I think it got exhausting for leaders to do that.
That everybody deserves a brilliant employee experience. It takes intentionality to create good experiences, and it is not impossible.
This is William Tincup and Ryan Leary. You are listening, hopefully watching, the You Should Know podcast. Our guest today is Khalifa Oliver. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful. My cheeks are already hurting from pre-show.
Now, do we have a topic?
We do have a topic. So, Khalifa, first off, thank you for coming on the show today. It's a pleasure to have you on. So, Khalifa, for those who don't know, is an author of a wonderful book. It's I Think I Love My Job.
I
Right.
think I love my job. The
Right.
pretext is secrets to designing a people-centered employer value proposition that you can be proud of.
Right. So basically, how do you build that, right, to actually make people want to be there, maybe, but not actually, they truly don't want to be there? Because everybody wakes up and says,
Yeah, let me go build
I
something.
want to create shareholder value. That's what he said. I woke up this morning just to create
Can't wait.
shareholder value.
Can't wait. Can't wait to make my boss happy. Can't wait. What do I got to do today to make my boss happy? And hopefully get him promoted. What can I do?
Khalifa, take a moment, introduce yourself to the audience, and let us know who you are.
Yes, who I am is such a philosophical question, right? So I won't go too deep in that. So Khalifa Oliver, I am an executive advisor and experience coach. If you hear an accent, originally from the Caribbean, so a hot-blooded Trini girl. So it's what what I love to say. My focus, my background is in industrial, organizational psychology, and people analytics, and my focus is always trying to find a balance between being data centered but also people centered in order to best create experiences that really align with both business outcomes for people and for the organizations. So, how do I find that balance?
And it's the alignment that's the sweet spot, right? Is
Yes.
trying to find for both the employee and the company.
And the company, because they often seem to be in competition with each other, and they don't have to be. They don't have to be. I don't know why we exist in this world of the or people or the business outcomes when it can be and. So I exist in the world of the and now. So I always ask the question, why can't it be both?
How much of that is communication?
A big part of it is communication, right? One of my friends, he owns a language company, a translation company, and we were talking about it, and I'm like, language is data, right? Data is a form of communication, and we don't necessarily take the time to interact with people well enough to understand how they feel, to align how they feel with an outcome. We go in with our own biases, we go in with our own interpretations, and too often when it comes to communication, it's not happening because we go in to answer instead of going in to listen and think. You know what I mean?
I
And
do.
that's not an easy thing to do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Listening is
It
hard.
is hard. You can hear. I don't know if I'm listening. What's it? Is it listen or hear? I always get that part confused. But there's a lot of times I listen to people and it's in and out, in and
I
out.
Right. So
I hear you
you
is
hear,
noise is
yes,
noise.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
listen to you is you
processed.
yeah.
yes, you
So okay,
process
so
the
then I
content.
hear a lot of people. We'll say it that way. Yeah, but I'm
Sounds like
listening to you.
sounds
I'm
like that was
listening to you.
redirected at me.
Well, and this is the way I think of data, and this is why I think about people data all the time. The way I think about data is how I think about noise, since you brought it up, right?
Yep.
The music is the organization of noise in a way that makes sense to create an experience. That's exactly what data does, right? So, what I'm trying to do with data to create experiences is I'm trying to organize all the noise in the organization through ways of listening to employees in order to tell these stories that create these experiences, right? People with good experiences, they are more likely to help with the outcomes you want because you've created space that's not noise anymore. So if you ever think about a good experience, it's quiet. The best experiences you have are actually quiet. You know what I mean? And that's what listening is. You sit in the quiet so you could process the thing. Think of when you listen to your favorite song, right? You sit in the quiet to process the thing.
So creating that space for quietness, how how do you do that? How do you do that effectively with employees? Because I feel like, and then this goes all the way up to the executives board. I think people generally are thinking about the next thing they're going to say, and so they're not necessarily listening. They're
Mm-hmm.
hearing, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe hearing selectively some of those things, but they're so much of the time, and this is just my perspective. I don't have any data to support this at all, but it seems like people are thinking about the next thing they want to say, which is how do you do both at the same time?
Well, you don't have to. I think, have you ever heard of survey fatigue? Because,
Yeah,
the easiest, fastest way to listen to employees is surveys, right? Because you get a lot at any given time. And people always talk about survey fatigue, but I don't believe in it. It doesn't exist. It's made up. Survey
right,
fatigue is not a real thing. People are not tired of the tool. You can't blame the tool. It's the inaction that comes next that people are
100%.
actually tired
Mm.
of. So it's inaction fatigue, right? But it's easy to blame the tool because that takes away accountability from the people who need to take the action. If you need to listen, you need to allow the data to tell you the story in its purest, rawest form.
Well,
And too often, when it comes to listening, they have something in their head. They expect the data to match that thing in their head.
They have a
right.
preconceived notion of what it is, and so it's the fatigue of inaction, inaction fatigue. I love that. I've never heard that before. I think it makes sense.
I th I think when we went from annual surveys to more of a pulse survey
Right.
years ago, one of the things that was really discussed at that point was, is it anonymous or is it tied to their profile? And so you get different types of feedback.
Yes.
Mhm.
With anonymous, you get more feedback, but you're not sure you can trust some of it. With
Oh my gosh, yes.
with things that are tethered to a profile, you just get a lot of, hey, everything's great.
You can
Thumbs
get
up,
a lot.
baby.
Like I'm not
Yeah.
an
Right,
idiot, you know.
right,
So I think the inaction thing for me, Ryan and Khalifa, is the communication of why things can't change. So when
right.
leaders understand, it's like, okay, you want this, and it looks like 98% of you want the same thing. Okay, here's why we can't do that. So it's inaction, that's the
Mhm.
output, but it's at least they don't tackle the communication layer to then say, here's
Yeah.
Absolutely.
here's why we can't do that.
Why
Absolutely.
is that so scary for leaders to do that?
Because it holds them accountable. It's a scary thing to be a leader. So I always tell people that, being a leader is tough in a sense that we haven't created a space for a leader to say, I don't know
Right.
the answer, right?
We
I
did in
don't.
COVID. We did in COVID.
Don't get me started on COVID. We can talk about our COVID period all day.
I
COVID
I didn't
for
know there was a
HR.
trigger. I didn't know it was a
Oh
trigger.
no,
My
no,
bad. My
it's a
bad.
good thing. It's a good like the COVID period was this big experiment that you don't see come. And for HR, it really put some stuff on the table about what organizations need to do and to treat people in different ways, to treat people and how to communicate with people. And it was a true exhibition of what people actually know about how to treat people
Mhm.
versus what we actually do.
And then
And
3 years
so
later, we
we're
disregarded
back.
all the things that we learned.
I think
Yes.
Right,
honestly, I think it
right.
got exhausting for leaders to do that. That was
To
a
be
lot of
accountable.
effort for
To be
them to be
accountable.
accountable, to
To be
communicate,
accountable all the
vulnerable,
time, to
everything.
listen, to be vulnerable, so people revert back into let's go back into this fear-based model. But the problem is people have seen a different way. So now you can't convince them, right? It's like, it's like if you show me luxury. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
got
yeah,
me
yeah.
riding around in luxury, and I'm starting to see that I can breathe and I could, I can live. Now you tell me we have to go back. I'm like, why?
Yeah, yeah.
Why?
Why do I have to go
Why?
back?
I like that place. Go back
I
there.
got a taste of
Yeah,
this pizza. I'm not giving it back.
I'm not giving it
Oh,
back up to you. And so I think that's what it is, the accountability of it, because none of no, companies did not lose money during COVID,
no,
right? The
no,
average big corporation did not lose money. Many of them made even more
that's right.
money, but it was, we know how to treat you. Now we talk about AI and AI taking people's jobs and blah, 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 blah. And I have lots of thoughts on that. But I often say, if you wanted to replace people with technology, COVID was the perfect time to do it
That
because
was.
not only did you have control over what was happening with people, people died. You literally got
Yeah.
space in your
You
organization
needed to replace something.
that you needed to
It was
replace.
justified.
But instead, they doubled down on people centered approaches. They doubled
Mhm.
down on empathy. They doubled down on treating people well. They doubled down on flexibility. They doubled down on communication because it means we know we need people and we know we should be good to people, right? But now that everybody's all right, can y'all forget that? Can y'all forget
Nope.
that?
Yeah, this is the clip right here to pull out because I think you said that really well. You said that really well. That was the time. If you wanted to get rid of people, it was justified. At that point in time, you could do whatever you needed to do,
Yeah,
and it was
I
justified.
don't think the technology was there yet. So I don't think the timing didn't match, but it also again leaders got exhausted um, by being vulnerable, by communicating, by letting people know and live and giving them their space and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So leaders got exhausted. Let's not let's not forget leaders get paid to do this. Leaders are the highest paid individuals in a company, so no one should feel sorry for that they had to change their job
Mhm.
and their approach because they're getting paid to do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's really it's the retrench or the regression, if you will, of going back to a place that like this 2019 was so awesome. It wasn't awesome.
right.
It was not awesome. We learned a lot of things during COVID, the COVID period, and then we just basically conveniently threw them all away.
Yeah. When you think, one of the things with leaders and leadership is that we like formulas, right? Leadership throughout the years has been very formulaic and you
Yes.
get what you reward. And many people have become leaders through using the same applied formula. Do this, control people like this, treat people like this, keep this from people, give this information, communicate this way. So it's the formula. You get rewarded and you go up and you become an executive, you become a leader, right? And here comes this period of time when none of it is true.
Right.
Everything is wrong, right? Every data forecast from 2019 is absolutely wrong. So now you are on the table to make real time decisions based on information you've never had before. And the formula that you've always used is never where it's not going to work, right? So you now have to figure out a new playbook. And then the minute that it feels like things are calming down, you're like, I need to go back to the old playbook because the old playbook is comfortable.
Hmm.
It's comfortable. It's what you've been rewarded for. And now your boards are telling you, I'm rewarding you for the thing you did before. And so that's where we are. You know what I
It's
mean? Everybody
an
wants to
old
go
pair
back
of
to formula.
shoes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's what
Mhm.
they're teaching in MBA classes. It didn't change. They haven't
No.
changed what they taught in MBA classes. They haven't adjusted it. So everybody wants that formula to start back working. But
Mm.
it's not because people
It's
have
not the
changed.
same.
The job market has changed. Yeah. So
Yeah. So you have this book that we
yes.
haven't jumped into.
Well, we have.
We're kind
We
of
kind of
we did. We
have.
have. You're right. You're right. You're right. Well, give us the origin story. Where did this book come from?
So I've, I've been contacted by people throughout the years to discuss like data analytics. I've done a lot of survey listening, engagement, experience work. And, it's not often when you think of HR, most people think of HR as this transactional function, right? And so I work on the strategic part, like that part of the function where you bring in data. And I would always learn from the customer experience space because these are people too. They have the technology, they have the tools. Why are we using it? And so I started to talk and I started to post on LinkedIn. And my husband and other people always say, you should write it down. And I'm like, no, I'm not that interesting. Nobody wants to hear I'm not going to write it down. But I think the first trigger for me is I was laid off in was it 2020? Gosh, I can't remember now. 2012. I got laid off, and this was like 4 months after promotion. So I'm promoted to VP, and then the company. This is the only time where they have all these logistics issues, and after COVID and stuff, and so then I'm laid off, and it's devastating. Right? It's devastating.
Mhm.
And in my, like, I know better. I've been on other sides of layoffs and I know better. I know this information. I know this thing. And I felt like it didn't matter how good I was. It didn't matter how much I did, right? It didn't matter how much I put towards my job. I'm still a number in that moment. And then I went to another job. So I'm spending all this time kind of relearning who I am. I went to my therapist right after, and one of the first questions that stuck with me is, who are you without a job? And I couldn't answer, right?
Your
And
identity.
who was I? And then, I mean, and this is extra for even me. And then I went on a retreat with Jim Hookie, Ariel. She's perfect. So I went to Thailand. We did a retreat. And at the end of the retreat, I said, I'm going to write this book. I'm going to write this book, right? These are things that I know. These are things that I could share with the world. These are the impacts I can have. I don't want to be in control. I don't want to be controlled by these circumstances anymore. Let me
Right.
share. Let me invest in this thing. So I started writing this book. I made a decision to write the book, and then during that period, I worked at a new company. It was awful, and that one came to an end. But that end was different. I felt good about that, and I just kept writing. I kept writing, and then by the end of it, the book came out. And while I was thinking through, "Look, what is this is?" I'm like, you know what is the question you want to answer all the time? People always ask you, do you like your job? And you're like, I think so. And I
So,
think I think I love my job. And it's just this whole playbook on how do you create experiences for people from the time they, apply for your job to the end. How do you use data? And why is experience is important? Because we all talk about this employer value proposition, and that's what that book is.
For me, it listening to you and also the title of the book, I think it's moment by moment. So I could love my job, or I think I love my job today,
Yes.
and on Sunday night, I might not have the exact same thing. And I think getting back to leadership and HR, they think maybe it's a one and done for a lot of employees. You love your job, great, done. All right, we're going to move on to something else. It's like
Right.
it's more complicated than that, and it's more micro experiences. So,
Exactly.
how you make them feel on Tuesday, every day, every moment, every interaction. There's got to be a way of then putting your thumb on how they feel is
Right.
important to how they create outcomes that are in alignment with the business and all that stuff.
Exactly. And when you think about experiences, any experience that you have, the best example I give is if you go on vacation, right? If you go on vacation and you have a really good experience, like you don't think about how good it was until people
That's right.
ask you about your
you're
vacation,
just
right?
in
You're
the
like,
moment.
oh, right, because you live in the moment of the
That's right.
vacation.
As you
But
should.
when your vacation sucks,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
nobody has to ask you. You
Yeah.
will. It's so salient in the
Well, and
moment.
the juxtaposition of having a great experience versus then having a horrible experience.
Yeah.
So then you're like, if you have a great experience, and then all of a sudden your next experience or two later is horrible, you're comparing the two. Like,
Yes.
this is
And you
simple
having this
stuff.
dissonance in your mind
Yes.
because you
Yes.
you know what it is. But you know what the key is, and I talk about this in the book. The biggest problem we have when we think about employees and employee experience is we conflate it with happiness.
Yeah.
Employee
Mm.
experience has nothing to do with happiness. Happiness is an unfair ask for people at work and for organizations to provide. We
It's
say,
also a
are you
personal,
happy? It's a
it,
personal, yeah,
yeah, it's
it's
a personal,
subjective.
it's a personal odyssey, which the individual can control. The business can contribute and make it harder. However, but they can't control it.
They can't control happiness, right? You get happiness from your
Mm-mm.
dog, you can get happiness from outside of work. So people are expecting this joy
Right.
that they feel with other things from their jobs, right? Even people who are entrepreneurs, they're expecting this joy, they don't feel it. We're
Yeah.
setting ourselves up for anxiety and for failure and to be feeling bad because why don't I feel this way? And so when I
Right.
talk about employee experience, I'm like, no, ask anybody what they're looking for in their job. And what they will tell you is, I want to be able to develop. I want to grow. I want to be able to focus. I want to understand my job. So, what they're actually asking you for is to set them up for success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the employee experience is.
Why then? Because I think this is almost common sense for the employee base, but from the leadership perspective, why is it so complicated? Why do they always want to make you happy? They want to give you things to make you happy, as opposed to just building the structure for you and making sure you have those resources. Why is it so difficult for them?
One, accountability, right? Because it's a heavy ask. Two, happiness sounds good. Happiness sounds good because happiness requires it to be the employee's responsibility, right?
Right.
So happiness sounds good. The other thing is we created this room where people needed to feel happy at work when organizations started to ask for loyalty. If I gotta bend the knee for
Mm,
you got to make me
yeah.
happy, right? That's what you ask for in marriage, in relationships, right?
Yeah.
You want my loyalty, and my job is to make you happy, and then we make each other happy. But if you this entire organization is asking me to be loyal,
Yeah, I feel like loyalty went out the door in employment when pensions went out the door and all of that safe stuff went out the door.
when a commitment to me as a human went out the door, then loyalty went out the door. So why are you still asking for it? Why are you still asking for it? Why are you calling me a whatever? Why are you giving me a name for being a part of your organization? Why are you telling me I'm family? That's an
Yeah. Yeah.
implication of loyalty, which then conflates this feeling of happiness. And when people don't feel it, it's confusing. And I think it's okay. What I tell people in the book, it's okay not to be happy at work. You can get your flowers outside of work. You want to be set up for success. That's what you're doing. And you know who's responsible for setting you up for success? The organization, the leaders, right? You can feel happy because, we ask for innovation. But you know what creates innovation? The time to think. If I am stressed out, have 100 things to do, I can't get access to my technology, I can't get on my computer, I can't get the information, how am I going to be innovative? I don't have time. That requires the ability to think, the room to think, the feeling of success. You make me feel successful. I'm going to help you get that shareholder value that you keep looking for.
Right. Right. And this might be an excuse, but it's also hard because the leaders and HR are used to creating cookie cutter solutions for
Right.
employees. So what drives your success and makes you
Hmm.
happy, all that stuff would also work with me, etc.
Right. Here's the
It's
playbook.
it's
Yeah.
a highly personalized what makes Khalifa happy that this week versus you this week
Yeah.
versus me this week. They're vastly different. Now, there potentially is an upside coming with AI and agentic AI to find out what makes you happy that particular day.
What makes
Hmm.
So
you that day?
they could actually, but you asked a very specific question like what holds them back from doing this.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that holds them back is it's really difficult. It
And to
can be really difficult.
and to your point, one of the problems is just it's human nature too. When we get some of this data, for example, we figure out these are the gaps, these are the things that people need, we weaponize it.
Yeah,
Right? We make it
Right.
punitive. We weaponize the thing. So we move
100%.
from listening to surveillance, right? And so
Yep.
now people you don't have trust in the organization because I think now you don't want me back here because you think that I can really produce for you. You want me back here because you want to make sure you can have your eye on me on every
Right.
single turn. That that's not happiness. So you never cared about happiness, right? So
Right.
stop telling me I'm your family.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And it's the biggest lie ever told.
Oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I want us to stop. Stop
Yeah.
saying that. We're not family. I have family members I'd like to fire. Okay?
Oh,
I
Yeah.
can't.
100%.
Yeah.
Just
You
because
you
you're
pick your
family
friends,
doesn't mean
not
you
your
love
family.
them.
Yeah.
I say that all the time to people.
Yeah, my in-laws have my mother-in-law has a thing on her wall says you pick your friends, not your family.
Right,
Like,
100%.
yeah,
right. Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
even know if
yeah.
you pick your friends. So, but
I
you,
do. I might get rid of friends too, but
oh no, I definitely exit stage left on some folks. That's just a part of it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
what's the next book?
Oh my God, everybody keeps asking me that. I don't
Come on
know.
now.
I don't
Did
know.
didn't
I'm
you
like,
did
You've
can
been
I
thinking,
breathe on this book?
no, hell no. No, it's time that
no,
you know
no,
you're
it's
supposed to
not a
write
book.
books in threes.
It's not a book. This is where she announces the launch of her new podcast.
Oh
Okay,
hell yeah.
maybe,
Or TV show.
maybe,
I'm
Or
just
TV
saying.
maybe.
show.
Listen, if y'all know how I go about doing it, I'm okay with that. Listen, I'm in my main character season. I'm ready to try new things and to be uncomfortable, and that's what I'm going to do.
So do
So,
you want readers to, and again I'm gonna push you into kind of a false decision. Do you want leaders to read this or employees to read this?
so it was written for leaders and people
Okay.
who are responsible for making employee experience decisions. But what I
Okay.
learned upon writing it and upon people reading it is it helped people understand what they were really looking for in work. And so it turns out it's for all of them, right?
Yeah,
It's
because
it's
one's top down, one's bottom up.
it's one of those things where I had somebody tell me when she first read the book, when it first came out, she was like, I'm reading this, and I went, oh my God, I am not crazy. I am not crazy. And in my mind, I'm like, you know what? That's what I was writing it for. Because and in the tone that I write it in, I again, and we take ourselves a lot seriously in HR. So I tried really hard to balance the tone of I'm just your homegirl telling you the thing. You like it, you don't like
You
it, I'm gonna
Hmm.
tell you the thing.
you do
This is
you.
right. It's not gonna be super academic, although I am an academic. It's not, I'm going to explain this stuff to you, but I want you to hear me just chatting with you. And, she's like, I sat there and I went, I am not crazy. And I'm like, good. That means it's speaking to you, the recognition that you don't have to be 100% every single day. That's not a human thing.
I don't think you can. I don't think that anybody can be 100%
No.
every day.
You get 20% of me one day, look, you get 110 another day, and that's okay.
That's right.
That's okay.
If you're a motivational speaker, sure, you can get on stage and pretend and tell people, bring your all. But William, you say this all the time. You don't want my
Mm-mm.
full self of work.
No,
That's what I say to you. See, you just
that's
like me. That's what I say
biggest
too.
lie, biggest or
Oh my,
second
I
biggest
say,
lie.
oh my, I
Bring your
said it
true
too.
authentic
Bring
self.
your full self. My
Bring
full self? Are you
no
sure?
no.
You sure you want that?
You're gonna back off of that in about 3 days.
Yeah.
In 3 days you're
Three.
gonna be like,
You'll be lucky if
ah.
you make a couple hours with my full self at work that
100%.
day.
100%. You want the crevices in my brain, you want that stuff to come. Okay. All right.
Yeah. You
We'll see
want
how long.
Khalifa's rep.
Let
Yeah.
me go ahead and put a stopwatch on that.
You want Khalifa on most days. You want Khalifa's representative. That's
100%.
who you want on most days.
Yeah.
Yes. And even that might be too much for people. Might have to tone that shit down just to
Right.
get to a place because they can't handle it. They
Right.
say
Mm,
it's again, they say, oh, your family, we want you to bring your whole self to work. I'm like,
Right.
mm.
dude,
Mm-mm.
stop. Like,
No.
That is,
seriously.
it's a trap.
That's where investigations start to happen and yeah, all of
Well,
that stuff.
well,
Mm,
mine would be dark. Mine would be darkness, which would bring people down. So people would bring up an idea, and then I'd automatically, again, unfiltered, I'd automatically kill the thing right in front of them and tell them why that's the dumbest idea I've ever fucking
He
heard.
never does that, Khalifa.
No, I
But
do it all the time.
I know you
I
do.
can't. Ryan doesn't allow me on sales calls anymore.
No,
but
So,
he
here's
is
the
not allowed to
thing.
work with clients.
Adam Grant in his new book, I can't remember what the name of the book is, but he talks about people who dissent don't get enough credit for actually
Absolutely.
helping situations. And
Yes.
he
Hmm.
calls it, I can't remember the word he used, but he's basically like, there are people who are dissenters and they're not dissenters with the intent of bringing you down, but they're
100%.
dissenters because they make you better, right? They challenge you.
Yeah, but
And I
that's
remember
hard.
he
That's
was,
hard on
it's
people.
it's hard on and it's hard for me, right? Because I'm like, I want to be the fun aunt sometimes. I don't always want to be the parent in the room, but I think we don't give enough credit because we like people who are agreeable and we like agreeers. And I tend to play devil's advocate a lot, especially because I work with data. And I realize that if somebody in the room isn't going, I hear you, but what if, even if I completely agree with what's being said in the room, I'm like, there needs to be a room for dissent here so we can say we calculated some risk on it. So I think we don't give dissenters enough credit. They.
Yeah, they used to be called mavericks in organizations like in the 70s and 80s, and big companies would then protect them.
Right.
So they know they needed this little thing that's got kind of bounced off walls and kind of broke shit, stuff like that. And the large companies, the Raytheons and companies like that, they would allow those folks, but they would protect them.
Right, not now.
Not now.
Dissenter, dissenters are targeted, dissenters
Oh yeah.
are set up,
Oh, I'd be
dissenters are
canceled.
laid off, put out. Yeah, they're put
Should
out.
I?
And
I'd
yeah,
be canceled in a day. And it is no, it's not for not doing anything other than just being myself.
right,
I'd just be canceled. And it's
right.
like, that's okay. Well, I get it. That's cool. But I think bigger companies that allow dissent and allows disagreement. I mean, if you break it down into something similar or simple elements, it's like conflict. Conflict isn't bad. Disagreement isn't bad. Dissent isn't bad. Everybody flowing in the same direction, agreeing to the same thing, leads to a lack of innovation, leads to homogeny, and that doesn't help anybody
Right,
actually.
right,
But
You
right.
don't want to bring smart people in and hire smart people to then tell them what to do.
And tell them don't be smart. Literally tell them don't be
Yeah.
smart.
most women, especially in the 80s, I won't say now because I have no idea what women do now, but in the 80s, they would like a guy and then want to change the guy.
Yeah,
It was one of those things they would meet someone and like that version of the person and then immediately want to take that person and change them and mold them into someone that they're not.
that's what they talk about women like
And
projects.
I'm not saying all women
No,
did that.
no,
I'm
no, no,
just
no. But that's what people say. Like women like projects, men don't really change. That's what people
oh,
say.
Hmm.
Women like project, men
100%.
men don't really change. So when the project doesn't change, then
My
you're
my we,
mad.
my wife, we've been married 31 years. We've been dating whatever 33 years. She still to this day is like, if you could just change this one thing. I'm like,
I'm with her. I'm with her on
dude,
that.
seriously,
Not gonna lie.
you've been here the whole time. Come on
Not gonna
now.
lie. Not
Right,
gonna lie.
but
Yeah.
but but your metaphor is correct. You bring in
Hmm.
somebody. Let's use the word ambition, and
Right.
talk about it.
Oh,
You
that's a
see
good one.
all these job descriptions. I want an ambitious person. I want people to be
Mm-hmm.
ambitious. I want them to
Mm-hmm.
be this. Then they
Do
come in
you?
and they're ambitious. Then you say you're a job hopper. You say you want them to
Yeah.
outgrow. That's what ambition is. You
Relax.
want them
Slow
to
down.
constantly look to the
Yeah.
next step. Now you're like, oh, you're a problem,
Take your
right?
time. Take your
Right. So
time.
you didn't
Really
want an
understand.
ambitious person. You just
No.
like the word ambitious.
That's
That's
right.
it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
What do you hire? What do you hire for? Like if you're hiring, do you have characteristics that you like in people?
I really like the ability to learn. I think I call it, I want you to really have intellectual curiosity. I want you to be able, I think the most intellectually curious people I know also am willing to say, you know what, I'm not sure what the answer is,
Yeah,
right? That I like that because those people are willing to stretch, to grow, to learn. They're willing to speak up when they know something, but they're also willing to be humble enough to say, I do not know the answer.
yeah, I got no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 some of the
yeah, yeah.
best leaders I've ever worked with go, I don't know what you're talking about.
Men have a difficulty in general. Men have difficulty doing that.
Well, there's a
It's like
correlation.
that's asking for directions, right?
Yeah.
Men are
Oh
horrible at
God,
that.
don't
So
start
you know what I'm
saying
saying?
that.
You know what I'm saying, right? So it's like
I am
men have
married. I
sorry.
know.
I ask
Okay.
all the time.
Men have difficulty saying I'm sorry. That's a great idea. You're right. I was wrong. Like I got a whole list of these things that I look for in men that
His
are
wife
around
probably has
me.
a list somewhere.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
this
I
is what he
do. I
won't
do. I'll
say.
send it to you. I'll send it to you. I literally have a list, and I look for it in characteristics in men that are around me. I'm like, if you can't say that you're sorry, I don't want to be around you.
Because it's not
Sorry, man.
rewarded. It's
That's
not
right.
rewarded, right? And
That's right.
it comes back down to the formula, right?
Yep. That's a good
They,
point.
Mhm.
there are things that are not rewarded. And
This is the way we go. We got to go this way.
right,
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
woman, me saying sorry is rewarded, right?
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
a, but for a man saying I don't know, I don't understand, it's not rewarded. So
it's
just like any other culture, you get what you reward.
right.
And that's how you create experiences in organizations and culture and experiences. You're rewarding things. Even if you don't think you're rewarding it, that's exactly what you're rewarding. When the
Yeah.
man talks over the woman in the meeting and nobody says anything, you're rewarding the behavior. When you have a toxic salesperson who is, getting all these sales and getting all these big bonuses, but they're creating a toxic environment, you're rewarding it. So what does everybody learn? That toxicity is what you reward. And so this is
Right.
where we are.
So, Khalifa, I know we've got to let you go, but give us the throughput here on the book. What's the message you want people to get out of this?
That everybody deserves a brilliant employee experience, and that it takes intentionality to
Hmm.
create good
Yeah.
experiences, and it is not impossible.
Nope.
You do not have to put creating experiences and caring about people and setting them up for success as something in competition with your business outcomes. You can do both. Treat people well and make money.
Drops mic. Walks off stage. This has been awesome. I could talk to you for another couple of hours. Seriously, it's so awesome. Thank you so much for carving out time for us and
Of
talking about your book.
course.
This has been
I've had
wonderful.
I've had so much fun.
Anyhow, thank you again, and thanks for the audience for listening and watching. Until next time.